Okay, I am currently working on my review of Batman Return to Arkham, and in the meantime I thought I would give you my first impressions as to what I thought of both games when I popped them in and played the first few hours. So let's start with Batman Arkham Asylum. So right off the bat I can say that the cutscenes are cleaner and the textures have been improved, but as a result, the graphics no longer look like a dark, pale and gritty comic book. It now looks like a cartoon. The clothes and skin tones are too brightly coloured, and that takes away from the dark, gritty style that the games have been known and praised for. Also, the environment around them to an extent has a similar problem, but it still looks really good, so I can get used to that. But the characters, the best way I can describe them is simplified. The details from the original version are completely missing. Now yes, Batman's cape has had a lot of good work done to it, but look at how clean and non-threatening his face is. And look at Joker's face. In the original, he had a bunch of lines all over it, and it was partly concealed in darkness, which not only looked like a graphic novel, but at times it looked a little creepy and real. It was a really nice artistic touch that added to the experience, but unfortunately those really nice facial expressions and details have been taken out of the game. It almost feels like they wanted to get rid of the sinister expressions so they could make it a little more kid-friendly. If that was the intention, it was completely pointless because the game, like before, is still rated 16. So the cutscenes are not good. They are more than watchable, but most of them have the same flaw of being too simple and sucking out all the detail from the characters. Also, the brightness and contrast for this entire game is in severe need of adjustment. No matter how much I adjust it, the game is either too bright or too dark. I can't seem to find an even ground for it. And Batman's teeth, they look so wrong. Now, as soon as I saw the first bit of actual gameplay, I was like, wow, this is a lot better. The lighting, the shadows, the detail, this looks a lot nicer. Oddly enough, the in-game graphics actually look better than the CGI cutscenes. I never thought I would say that. The only problem though is that again, there is a lack of detail on the characters' faces, even whilst in-game, and there is still a cartoony vibe during the gameplay, which is not how it should feel. Also, the frame rate is capped at 30 frames per second. Trust me when I say I will talk more about this in my review. So we finally bring Joker to Commissioner Gordon and oh my god. This still gets me. Commissioner Gordon, what the hell did they do to him? He looks like all the life has been sucked out of him. He looks like a plastic doll to go alongside a Barbie set. Oh my god, take a look at what he looks like in the original. I mean, I don't believe it. Come to think of it, even Batman looks too bright and simplified in the remastered version, doesn't he? Is this really supposed to be the Unreal Engine 4 taking effect here? Tell me, which one truly looks remastered to you, because if the indicators weren't on the screen differentiating the two, I would have thought that the PS3 version is the remastered one. How the developers thought this would be an improvement is beyond me. Just looking at it makes me want to vomit. Gordon just might be the scariest thing you will see throughout this whole game. Okay, I'm better. So yeah, the in-game graphics look great, but the cutscenes have been completely mishandled, and the only thing the developers have left intact is the music and voice acting. Also, when you start fighting and exploring, you really feel the low frame rate. And believe it or not, but the game actually goes below 30 frames per second and starts lagging and stuttering consistently. It's obvious now why this game got indefinitely delayed, as from what I've played, it's still clearly not finished, and I can't imagine it getting any worse. Spoilers, it does. So enough of this mixed bag, let's pop in Arkham City, in my opinion the best of all the Arkham games. So from playing the first level, I can tell you that it is much smoother than Arkham Asylum. The frame rate is going above 30 frames per second and the gameplay all round just feels a lot smoother. There is an abnormally strong yellow tint to this Catwoman cutscene though, which is very odd. Then the opening cutscene starts and oh boy were we off to a great start, and then it just gives up. First off, the entire cutscene is stuttering and does not play at a consistent frame rate. Also, I am not sure how it is showing up once encoded by YouTube, but on top of the lag, there is this noticeable blurred outline around the characters, and not only is it distracting, but along with the lag, it also makes it hard to see the facial expressions on moving characters such as Bruce Wayne here. From that point, even the gameplay lags. Now let me stop everything for 1 minute. I want to point out that they did fix something. Do you remember the trailer that showed us Hugo Strange? In the remastered version, we couldn't see Bruce Wayne's reflection in Strange's glasses, whereas we could in the PS3 version. They did fix that problem in the final game, so I wanted to give them credit for that. So where were we? Oh yes, from that point on, even the gameplay lags, and it really takes away from the awesomeness of this scene. If you have not played Arkham City before, then it will be only fair for me to warn you that you will be missing out on the true experience. And that really is a shame, as the graphics are so much better, but you can't really spend the time to admire it when the game is changing the rate in which it lags from location to location. So once you put on your suit, that's where the game stops lagging for a bit, and it just blew me away.
Alfred, I took an encryption key from a Tiger gun. I'm going to hack into their communications.
First off, Batman's face looks awesome. They did not pointlessly transform it like they did with Arkham Asylum. They just gave it a slight visual boost, which is all I wanted them to do. And Batman's cape. It looks so detailed, and I would go as far as to say that it looks real at times. I was just jaw-dropped when I saw this part of the game. Really, it looks so good. So once you start gliding around the city, you will notice that again, the game lags when you are gliding around or fighting in various different locations. But then when you go into the courthouse, it becomes smooth, like 60 frames per second smooth. That is until a few seconds later you trigger a cutscene and, well...
The only way to get by in this place is to get ourselves some respect. Beer. That's how we get respect. Show them all how we do things.
I mean, how can you make a CGI cutscene lag? This isn't an in-game cutscene either. It's a simple video that you can put onto any device and it will play it back smoothly. Just because this one has been given a rather nice new paint job, that doesn't give it reason to stutter. That's the best way to describe Arkham City from what I have played so far. It lags. Unlike Arkham Asylum though, the frame rate is not capped at 30 frames per second. It can actually go up to 60 frames per second. This is apparent when you free roam in certain locations and you go inside the buildings later on in the game. You will notice it gets much smoother, but that's not right. Every single game should have a steady and consistent frame rate. If it goes all over the place, then that just means that the developers did not optimize the game well enough. Other remastered games such as The Last of Us and Uncharted were given a rather hefty graphics upgrade and they still managed to run incredibly smooth at 60 frames per second. That's a sign of good optimization. With the two Batman Arkham games, the developers clearly needed more time to optimize the game even further, especially since they were using the new Unreal Engine 4. That's why they understandably and indefinitely delayed it. But it seems that behind the scenes, they got lazy and just decided to push the game to market anyway for an early profit. So as far as my first impressions go with these two games, guys, the gameplay is really fun, but at the same time, I am very disappointed. If these issues weren't here, then I would have had even more fun with the games, but instead my experience is constantly being ruined. Now at the time of making this video, I have already completed Arkham Asylum, and I am currently about 5 hours into Arkham City. Once I finish playing both of them, including the challenge maps and side missions, I will then tell you in my review if I get used to these flaws, and if they are less bothersome the more I play, or if they continue to be a nuisance. Also, using Remote Play on the PS Vita to play this, particularly the challenge maps, is something I have always wanted. Again, I will show you how well it works in my review, which will be up in about a week. But in the meantime, if you want me to show you how it works with Batman Arkham Knight, then click the link at the end of this video as well as the description below. Thank you very much for watching my first impressions of Batman Return to Arkham, guys. Have you played the game yet? Are you thinking of getting it? Sound off in the comments below. I would love to hear your experiences as well as answer any questions you may have. Until the next time, guys, I will catch all of you next time. Take care.